Every morning, millions of people wake up tired before the day even begins. Not because they didn't sleep, but because they never really stopped working. Emails late at night, orders fulfilled after dinner, deliveries made after a full shift. For many, the workday doesn't end at the job place. It just changes task. Once upon a time, having a side hustle meant extra money. Now it often means survival. Rent is higher, food costs more, gas costs more, healthcare feels like a gamble. And yet paychecks look almost the same as a decade ago. So people adapted, not with luxury, but with a side hustle. But how did we get here? Why did an entire generation quietly accept that one job isn't enough anymore? And what does this shift mean for the future of work and life itself? There was a promise once. Work hard, be loyal, and life would be stable. A single job could support the whole household. Homes were affordable. College didn't cripple finances. Medical bills didn't destroy families. Income grew as the economy grew. For decades, that was the reality. But then something broke. Companies kept becoming more profitable. The economy kept expanding, but paychecks stayed stagnant and stopped keeping up. Productivity soared. Wages stalled. And slowly, quietly, the gap widened. At first, people didn't notice. Credit filled the gap, then overtime, then second jobs, and eventually, side hustles. Let's talk real-life math. A typical worker today earns roughly what workers earned decades ago after factoring in inflation. But everything today has exploded. Housing doubled or tripled. College costs multiplied. Healthcare skyrocketed. Childcare rivaled rent. So even when someone is doing okay, they're often one emergency away from a disaster. A single medical bill, an unexpected car repair, or a sudden layoff could wipe out what little savings people had. Not because of poor choices, but because the system left no room for error. Side hustles became a form of financial protection, a buffer against constant uncertainty. Technology made that hustle easier than ever. Spare hours could now be turned into income by driving passengers, delivering food, selling products, offering skills, or creating content, until nearly every moment of free time became something that could be monetized. At first, it felt liberating, but then the shift came. Companies began offloading risk, cutting benefits, removing stability, and paying only per task. Workers were no longer employees with protections, they were contractors. And side hustles didn't just supplement jobs anymore, they replaced security. In the beginning, people hustled for extras, vacations, nice dinners, and small luxuries. Over time, the purpose changed. Hustling became about paying rent, covering bills, managing debt, and surviving emergencies. Today, most side hustlers aren't saving for the future. They're struggling to get through the present, using extra income for groceries, utilities, medical expenses, and loan payments. The hustle stopped being optional and became necessary. And as more people relied on extra income to survive, wages remained low, quietly justified by the assumption that workers could always supplement what they earned. What began as personal choice slowly turned into economic expectation. This is the new economy. Teachers work nights, warehouse workers drive until midnight, and office employees freelance after dinner. They aren't chasing luxury, they're chasing stability. These stories are no longer rare exceptions, but everyday reality, forming a system where exhaustion is normal and rest feels irresponsible. This shift didn't happen by accident. Housing shortages pushed prices higher. Unions weakened, reducing bargaining power. Healthcare costs exploded. Education became debt-financed. Benefits disappeared and job security declined. Risk moved away from corporations and onto individuals. And when traditional safety nets faded, people were forced to build their own, through side hustles. But there's a hidden cost to constant work. When every hour becomes money, life never truly pauses. Rest feels unproductive, relaxation feels like failure, and burnout becomes routine. Self-worth becomes tied to productivity, relationships suffer, health declines, and stress becomes a constant companion. Yet the bills don't stop, so neither does the work. Hustle culture normalized constant work, encouraging long hours and nonstop productivity, while masking the reality that millions of people aren't chasing wealth. They're trying to stay afloat. Financial strain was reframed as personal drive, but no amount of hard work can correct an economy where basic living costs outpace income. And now the deeper question emerges: is this sustainable? A society where everyone is always working, where leisure disappears, and where exhaustion becomes normal is already showing cracks. Anxiety and depression are rising, burnout is widespread, and people are struggling to keep up with the pace of modern life. The hustle economy isn't just transforming work, it's reshaping how people live. Side hustles aren't going away. Automation will grow. AI will replace jobs. Costs will continue rising. Multiple incomes will become normal. Not because of ambition, but because of survival. Side hustles didn't rise because people got greedy. They rose because life got expensive. They rose because stability disappeared. They rose because one paycheck stopped working. This isn't just a passing trend. It's a signal that something fundamental has shifted. A reality where people are working longer and harder, not to get ahead, but simply to keep from falling behind. And the real question isn't how much more we can grind, but why staying afloat now requires round-the-clock work on the daily. Because when an economy depends on endless labor just to survive, it doesn't create success, it just slowly wears and tears people down each and every single day. Yet within all of this struggle, there is resilience. People continue to adapt, learn new skills, support one another, and find ways forward. The rise of side hustles is not only a story of economic pressure, but also of human determination. And while the system may be changing faster than comfort allows, conversations like this matter. Because awareness is the first step toward a future where hard work once again leads to stability instead of exhaustion. Because everyone deserves not just to survive, but to live well,